This is Carson Wentz, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
This is Mike Evans, and you're listening to Roster Watch.
Oh, yeah, we're back, baby. Roster Watch Nation, it's week 3. I made it back, boots on the ground, back in South Carolina. Was in Austin for the last couple of days. Wasn't sure if I was going to make it back, but I did make it back about 1 o'clock last night. Got a little sleep, a couple minutes late this morning. We're rolling, we're cooking, we're moving here in week 3. A lot of big things have already kind of started to unfold this morning, including getting a verification on when we're going to see J.J. McCarthy again for the Minnesota Vikings. Tracy Wolfson's reporting it's going to be week 7 for that ankle injury. The Vikings play Cincinnati this weekend. They travel across the pond and play the Pittsburgh Steelers in Dublin. They play Cleveland in England. Then they have a bye week, and then they get the Philadelphia defending Super Bowl champion Eagles at home in week 7, which then leads themselves into the Chargers on the road and the Lions on the road. So a little bit of a gauntlet there. And on the back of that, you get the Ravens. So it's not getting any easier for J.J. McCarthy and those Vikings. We'll see what happens with Carson Wentz today when he faces off against the Cincinnati Bengals. I like him a little bit more than I think Alex does. Another notable thing here, Skylar Nelson reporting for the Washington Commanders has a video of a player walking into the stadium with a vintage Sean Taylor jersey on, and his name's Bill Krosky Merritt. And I buy into these narratives. That's personally what I do. I buy into these narratives of this guy understands the culture. He understands, the history of the sport. And to me, Sean Taylor is the greatest safety of all time. So Bill Krosky Merritt walking into the stadium with a Sean Taylor jersey on gets an immediate 20 positional spot bump in the weekly rankings from yours truly. Just kidding. We're not really going to do that. But that's kind of how I feel. What's up in the chat? How we doing this morning? John in Cedar Park. Just saw John in Cedar Park randomly because we were there for an Orange Bloods event, and John in Cedar Park was out there grinding. So I hope all's well, John. Hope you had a good Friday down there in Austin. I'm Ian Katz, what's going on, brother? Richard Dupree, Rohit Joshi. Just a reminder, you can ask any question over at rosterwatch.com if you become a pro or premium member. There's a start sit thread. All questions will be answered before kickoff. So this show is not going to go until kickoff at 1 o'clock. This show is going to go till probably noon Eastern, 11 Central, somewhere around that time. And then I got to send my own lineups because you don't think you want to watch me do that on the stream. But I will be answering questions. Alex will be answering questions. Trashman's over there right now answering some questions. And if I don't get to them here, we'll get to them there. But I will promise you I'll probably get to them here. Super chats go to the top of the list as always. And let's get to it. Big Meech, what's going on, brother? Big Meech, I saw this one come in right away, and I just want to make sure it was cleared. I know it was talked about in the chat here, but Big Meech brings up, hey, we also got the chat this weekend. We haven't had the chat last weekend. We got the chat this weekend. Our 3 p.m. inactives out before 12 p.m. I need Charbonnet marked out to activate Judkins. Charbonnet's out. I assume this might be a league thing, like you need him to be listed inactive in your league to activate Judkins, which that is a whirlwind of I was going to say the F word, but I think we might get demonetized for that. But that'd be messed up if that's how your fantasy league works. If you have a cuttable player, I guess I'd cut a player if you could do it. But yeah, Charbonnet is definitely not going to play. But if it's a league thing, which is what I think I'm understanding this as, it's a league situation that it's not going to allow you to activate Judkins from your, I'm assuming, taxi squad unless you can deactivate Charbonnet to the IRs, the way I would understand that, Big Meech. I hope that is, yeah, he says correct. I hope. I see that is a level of not happiness that I would be in right now as well. If you can deactivate, I mean, if I don't know if you have any other rookies or not that aren't going to play or something, but deactivate another rookie, cut somebody. But I think you're going to get completely swindled in that whole situation if you have to play Judkins. John Cedar Park with the first super chat of the evening. Thoughts on playing Cortland Sutton over A.J. Brown? Here's the thing. Last week, I came on here, told y'all, I told Alex, I ranked A.J. Brown super high, ranked him in the top 5, and the matchup was solid, and I knew the targets were going to be there, and he got there. I think he had 8 targets last week, did A.J. Brown, and I was like, well, this is exactly what I wanted, but the problem was the connection wasn't happening. So he ended up that game with 8 targets, 5 for 27, which is honestly one of the most painful stats, like worse than that, like 10 catch, 30-yard game from Jahmyr Gibbs. At least you got 10 points out of the deal. The A.J. Brown stuff where you see 8 targets come across the board, and it's 5 for 27, the team wins the game, and the team doesn't even throw for over 100 yards barely, and you're just in a different land of pissiness. I think that puts you in. A.J. Brown's down there around wide receiver 20. Here's the deal. The model hates A.J. Brown this week. Hates him more than I think he hates anybody else on the slate. And again, it's a tough matchup with A.J. Brown. It's a bottom 5 matchup against the Rams. It's at home. Rams are like the top dog pick of the week for the Circa Millions contest, which means it's the underdog that is being picked the most to cover. And I like A.J. Brown, but again, so the consensus would say that Trashman and I have him wide receiver 17, Alex 22. The model has him outside the top 50. And then when you look at Cortland Sutton, the Cortland Sutton matchup is interesting because, again, it's Denver and Los Angeles, which is actually an interestingly high total for the week, a week of non-high totals. Sutton is the bottom 2 matchup as well at the wide receiver position, playing against the Los Angeles Chargers. Even though the model hates A.J. Brown so much, it still has A.J. Brown ahead of Cortland Sutton in the aggregate when it brings all things together, because we're pretty consensus on having Cortland Sutton right outside the top 30. And the growth of Troy Franklin in that offense has mattered, and we just think this thing's going to be a bogged-down football game. So we still lean into A.J. Brown here, John, and Cedar Park. We appreciate the super chat. All right, let's get back to the top of the chat, see where we are at. Ian's Cats, would any waiver wire quarterback be better to start over Penix? Russ, Mac, Wentz. Cincinnati's backup, who is Jake Browning, who statistically has gotten there in the majority of his starts in his career. He hasn't always won, but he's gotten there. So the way I look at the quarterback position right now is, let's see. So the waiver wire, I'm assuming Mariota's not on the waiver wire. Mariota, we have ranked pretty solidly. He's kind of like a stopgap in there. Wilson, you say Wilson? Yeah, Wilson's there. I mean, yeah, a grip of these dudes are ranked ahead of Penix for us this week. We really just think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to run the hell out of the football. That's the problem. It's like I think one of the props this week I took was Bijan over 78.5 rushing yards. You can get that up at the player prop cheat sheet on RosterWatch.com. That number's all the way up to like 86.5 right now, maybe 88.5 the last time I checked it. It's like we really believe in Bijan and Algier today, Kyle Pitts, and it's going to be a divisional game. It's going to be back and forth. I'm not sure Penix is really going to get to air it out in this one. So we have Russ ahead of Wentz. Mac Daddy is going to be south of that. Jake Browning south of that. Penix below all those guys. Tyrod Taylor below him. The other one you brought up was Jake Browning. Like I just said, he's a little bit lower than that. So, yeah, I mean, the best available based on this whole list would be Russ. It would be Russ and then Wentz. And we have them back-to-back at QB 20 and 21 this week. I prefer Russ by a touch, but I also think Wentz is going to control this off. I mean, you could say that this is a lazy take because of what we've seen historically with backup quarterbacks in Minnesota under Kevin O'Connell, but like Wentz is it's funny. Growing up in Minnesota, like I left Minnesota like 2 years after Wentz was drafted, I want to say. Maybe a year after he was drafted. So I was up there during that whole thing, and the Viking fans wanted Wentz. They wanted the Vikings to trade up to get Wentz at the top of the draft. I don't know, Dakota State. They never did it. People pissed off about it. And now they got him. And he's from the Fargo area. Like he's a Midwestern kid. And I think in this offense, he runs this offense, hear me out, just as good, if not better than Sam Darnold is kind of where I'm sitting with this thing. Like Wentz is think about like Josh Dobbs and his play style. Like if Wentz is competent, which I definitely think he is when he's healthy, I think Wentz can run this offense very well. So I'm not too worried about the Vikings, at least on the front of getting the ball to a Jefferson, getting the ball to a Hawkinson, running the. I think they're going to run the hell out of the football today against the Bengals, but I think Wentz can put up 30 points pretty easily. So I'm between Wentz and Wilson here. Honestly, Ian's Cats. Appreciate the question. All right, I'm gonna have to not get so long-winded if we're gonna get through all these today. Full point PPR. Richard Dupree says PPR with 2 flex spots and need 3. Wait, so if you have 2 flex spots, how do you need 3? Ricky Pearsall, James Conner, Ramondre, McLaren, DeAndre Swift. Ricky Pearsall, James Conner, Ramondre, McLaren, DeAndre Swift. So I know James Conner, and I'm pretty damn sure it's McLaren. Let me double check on Swift quick. Swift, running back 24. Swift and Connor back to back. Connor's ahead of him. Yeah, it's like I thought. Pearsall's going to be lower. Ramondre is going to be lower. And McLaurin. Let me double check McLaurin quick. I think it's going to be McLaurin and Connor. Yep, McLaurin and Connor. That's the play. Richard Dupree. So you said 2 flex spots, need 3. So again, James Conner and McLaurin. I guess if you need a third, the third's going to be 1 spot below at the running back position, because these 3 running backs, interestingly enough, are back to back to back. Connor, Swift, Ramondre. Literally, that's how they're ranked this week in the rankings. So I would go Connor, Swift, McLaren if you need 3 of these guys. Rohit answered this question on the chat, but when are you guys online? I need y'all. We're live right now, obviously, but like I said before, you can ask questions over on the website and they will be answered all the way up until kickoff. And if you need a question answered quickly, you can get a super chat, just like John in Cedar Park did, and those many did last week to get their questions to the front of the line. We're about 4 minutes away from getting ourselves inactives for the early slate. So why I love going live around this time every weekend is so that I can kind of work a little bit into inactives. Inactives come out, and then we get a little bit more clarity on a few things. One note. Next Sunday, so September 28th, week 4 start sit show. Probably going to be a little bit earlier. We're probably going to get in here. So we started about 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock's like my perfect time because, like I said, I want to be live at 11:30. Next weekend's probably going to be like a 9:30 Eastern. 9:30 Eastern, 9:45 Eastern. Comment if you got a preference. If it's like 9, if you prefer 9, I'll do 9 because I really got to get out earlier than nothing. I'm going to go to the Tampa Bay and Philadelphia game next Sunday. So I go 9, 9:30, 10, somewhere in there. I'm only going to do a half an hour next weekend, but whatever you guys prefer, 9, 9:30, 10, somewhere around there, Eastern time would be the thought. All right, let's get back to the questions here. All right, where did I leave off? I'm pretty sure Chargers isn't playing yet. We already got that done. Inactives. Jen says inactives 90 minutes before the game. Yep, that'll be in a couple minutes. Fire up Judkins. Sharp won't play today. All right, we're all answering the same question. Gooner Boy, pick 2. Hampton, Bill, Travion, and Judkins. Look at this guy just rolling out rookie. Gooner Boy. Gooner Boy, I don't know what you must have a squad or something with all these rookies. This must be a dynasty question. So, like I said, Bill got a 20-spot bump. So he went from running back 31 to running back 11. I'm just kidding. He didn't actually go up that. I kind of want to do that, but the matchup's pretty tough. So as far as how the rankings unfold, Hampton is 2 spots ahead of Judkins. Judkins is 2 spots ahead of Krosky Merritt. And Krosky Merritt's 2 spots ahead of Henderson in the consensus rankings. I would tell you my favorite play here is Travion Henderson. And after that, I would tell you Tamari Hampton from a touch-based perspective. Judkins, I think, is going to get a pop up in opportunities. Can we really trust Green Bay? Or can we really trust Cleveland, though, against Green Bay? It's the number 32 matchup for running backs. I think Judkins gets 15 touches, but I don't know what those 15 touches look like. They could very well completely cuck us and give us 15 for 15 like we got from Charbonnet just a week ago. So I'm trusting the better matchup in Henderson against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been sort of a sieve on defense the first couple of weeks of the year. Top 5 or bottom 5 in points allowed per game in the NFL, total points. And then we have, of course, Hampton, who looks like the guy with the Chargers, but it's a tough matchup against Denver, but I still take him by a touch over Krosky Merritt. It feels like a bad move. That feels like a bad play. But the one I know is Henderson. The other direction I want to go is Hampton. I trust Hampton. To be honest, I don't trust Dan Quinn. That's the problem. I don't trust what Dan Quinn's going to do with Chris Rodriguez and Jeremy McNichols. So I'm going to go Hampton, and I'm going to go Henderson today. Appreciate the question, Gooner Boy. Best of luck, brother. Big Meat says, who do you drop to activate Judkins if Sharp isn't marked out by noon? which it doesn't sound like he will be, which is unfortunate. Who do you drop? Andrews, B-Rob, he owns CMC, Hollywood, or A-Manor? Well, I would say it's probably A-Manor, and I love him. So if this is Dynasty, I don't want to do that. If this is Dynasty, I think the only guy I would cut is probably B-Rob. If this is seasonal, I think you probably could get away with cutting A-Manor. If you cut Andrews, somebody's going to add him. I mean, that's my play. I'm adding Andrews. I've seen people cut him. I've added him. I've literally got him in 3 different leagues because people cut him and they're tired of him. And I'm like, yo, this guy's 29 years old and it's Mark Andrews' favorite target. And Alex will say, well, that's Zay Flowers. But then I go hear a interview and Lamar says, Mark Andrews is my favorite target all time. 48 touchdowns in his career together. Like this, you go through these things like at tight end, especially, you don't get targeted. He caught a touchdown last week and then it was popped out, it was punched out, peanut punched out. So if this is Dynasty, I'd cut B-Rob. And if this is seasonal, I guess I'd probably cut A-Manor. Unless you have some sort of like Bowers or something ahead of Andrews. Big Meech. Appreciate the question, as always. All right, we got to get cooking here. Let's do a little rapid fire action. Rohit says 2 running back spots, 1 flex, 1 wide receiver between Garrett Wilson, Genty, Javonte, Ken, Ladd, and Brees. So we need 4 dudes off this list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6, 7. Rohit doesn't know the rules around here, but that's okay. We'll get to the question. Genty, Javonte, Ken, Brees. So it's 4 running backs. We need 2. I think the highest ranked guy is going to be Javonte this week. After that, it's going to be Ken Walker. So we're starting Javonte and Ken Walker for sure. After that, I think we're going down to Genty. So Genty is ahead of Hall as our probable flex. And then at wide receiver, we're between Garrett Wilson and Ladd. Is it just Garrett Wilson and Ladd? Yes, Garrett Wilson and Ladd. And then at wide receiver, Ladd is receiver 18, and we have Garrett Wilson at 12. So we'll go Wilson. And then I'm going to go ahead and roll with, I'm going to go that direction. I'm going to go Javonte, Ken, Wilson, and then Hall. Javonte, Ken, Wilson, and Hall. Ethan Lawson, need help to pick one in full PPR. Dobbins, McConkey, Montgomery, Judkins. McConkey's the answer for that one. Ian's Cats, appreciate you, brother. Turned out pretty solid. John, congratulations, brother. Hell yeah. Big Meech, thank you. DJ says Sutton or Pickens. Sutton or Pickens today. So we just brought this question up with Sutton a minute ago. Sutton's at 27. Pickens is going to be a little bit lower. We have him behind Hollywood Brown and Quentin Johnston and Ricky Pearsall today. He's at 35, even though the juiciest matchup of all time against the Chicago Bears, giving up 39.5 points a game. I love Pickens and DJ Moore this week as far as DFS goes. We talked about that on yesterday's show. If you want to go back and listen to that before kickoff happens, we did do a preview show yesterday, talked about some theory in DFS, talked about a couple of these games. Alex and I did, so you can go check that out on the RosterWatch YouTube or podcast feed as well. Teddy Acker says, half PPR need 1. Monty, I think I answered your question, DJ. It's Sutton. Teddy Acker says, half PPR need 1. Monty, Jennings, or Judy. Love me some Juwan Jennings. We learned last week that Ricky Pearsall is not Mac Daddy's favorite target. It's Juwan Jennings in his 10 targets. And then also Will Johnson's banged up. So we'll go Juwan Jennings. Appreciate you. Is Devonta a sit? Well, Disco Stu, it's all dependent on what you got. If you got somebody like Juwan Jennings, sure, Devonta's a sit. But it really comes down to really what you got in comparison. That's kind of the idea behind sit start. Yeah. Devonta's a sit for, 24 different receivers ahead of him. 36 different receivers ahead of him. Yeah, he's a sit. But he's also a start over guys like Travis Hunter, Khalil Shakir playing on Thursday, Stephon Diggs, Christian Kirk. I'm starting Devonta Smith over those guys. France. My dog got a gross one, 1 point PPR. Need 1 for my running back spot. Sampson, Gainwell, or Woody. We deep, dog. Deep. Woody. I love this. All right, so Woody is going to come in at 51 for us this week. Samson's going to be, I think, a little bit higher. I kind of like Samson. I have Samson I have him aggressively ranked here because here's the deal. I got him at running back 24 personally. As a consensus, we're at 43, so it kind of tells you where everybody else is at on him. I like the idea that Green Bay is a 7.5 point favorite, and I do think that they get up on Cleveland, but I think Cleveland fights back, which Takes a little bit away from the theory that Judkins is going to get a bunch of touches because Sampson has shown he can be the pass catching guy in comeback mode. So that's why I do like Sampson in today's game script. And then Gainwell, I mean, I'll just be honest, man. You can miss me with the Gainwell stuff. So I'm going to go Sampson today, friends. Appreciate the question. As always, Teddy Acker says, need one flex. Monty, Jennings, Judy. I already answered that one. We'll go Jennings. Colin King, pick 2 QBs. Super flex. Michael Penix, Mac Jones, Jake Browning. That's a tough one, Colin King. My sincerest wishes to your team this weekend, because that's 3 guys that are in the bottom 10 of the rankings this week. I'm going to go with Jake Browning and Penix, right? Yeah, Mac Daddy's going to be. No, I'm going to go Jake Browning and Mac Jones. Both of those guys are ranked higher for us than Penix. Penix is 3 spots lower than Mac Jones. So we're going to go Mac Daddy, and we're going to go Jake Brown and Colin King. Best of luck. Grant Whitcraft, 2 PPR, Sutton or Ibuka. Going Ibuka. I know people are worried about the hip. That's fine. But my rule on this, and I've learned this over years of doing the start-sit show. I think this is like my 5th year doing the start-sit show. Not always with RosterWatch, sometimes with Player Profiler. But when they play, you play. When the actives come out and they're active, you play them. When they come out and say they're playing, you play them. Unless it's a Jay Glazer 12:54 p.m. report right before kickoff, and he goes, today we heard that Emeka Egbuka's going to play, but it's going to be on a pitch count. He's going to be in for 12 snaps for the entire – then you can say, all right, I'm not going to play the guy. But unless we hear something like that, we're playing Emeka Egbuka today. So Emeka Egbuka over Cortland Sutton. Give me all of that. All right, some of the biggest inactives here from Shefty, because Shefty just tweets out 4 of them instead of listing out everybody. Actives, Tucker Kraft and Zach Tom for the Packers. Inactives of note, Damian Pierce, which no shocker, don't know why he's noted here, and Xavier Legette, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers, a.k.a. one more target for Tedero McMillan. Give a little bump to Jatavian Sanders, and we'll see if Jimmy Horn is activated today. Let me look and see. Let me pull up my inactives report and see if I can go through this a little bit better than our friend Adam Schefter. Christian Gonzalez inactive again for the New England Patriots. Again, after last week, he was inactive. Indianapolis Colts, nobody really of mention here. JTT in the defensive line. The Tennessee Titans have a couple of cornerbacks inactive, but neither of them are pressing. J.C. Latham and Kevin Zeiler out on the offensive line, so it gives a little bit of a hit to the Tony Pollard juice. The Philadelphia Eagles are down Will Shipley. That's expected. Azeez Ojulari, the edge rusher, and that's about a couple of interior offensive linemen that don't really do a lot. The Jets against the Bucs today, no Jermaine Johnson on the edge coming off. No Josh Reynolds, their wide receiver 2, so that still keeps Tyler Johnson and Mason Taylor as fringeable players in the deepest of leagues. Justin Fields inactive, of course, so Tyrod Taylor gets the start. Inactive for the Browns. Shedeur Sanders is the 3rd QB again. No Raheem Sanders, of course, with the return of Quinshon Judkins. No Zach Zinter or Jack Conklin on the offensive line, so that will mean some more Micah Parsons action. See if we can go get a little half sack more than on Prize Picks. Tampa Bay is going to be without Godwin, of course, and Tristan Wirfs. Nobody else really of consequence for fantasy conversations. Bengals are going to be without Cam Taylor-Britt, one of the starting cornerbacks, as well as Shamar Stewart, their rookie edge. Steelers are going to be without Joey Porter Jr. That's expected. Deshaun Elliott, Alex Highsmith. So, again, they're banged up from the top down. Commanders, no Jaden Daniels. Preston Smith, newly acquired. He's inactive. Brendan Coleman, who's been an inside-outside guard tackle, inactive. Noah Brown, a couple of drops this year that have been important. He's inactive again for the Commanders. On the Raiders side of that game, a couple of rookie offensive linemen are down. Raheem Mostert's inactive. And then the last 2 are the Falcons. No AJ Terrell, which you brought up earlier, which is going to benefit Tet McMillan. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are down Wyatt Milam, who's an interior offensive lineman, and Kalen Sanders, they just acquired on the defensive side of the football for the defensive tackle position. Emeka Egbuka is officially active. Christian Darrisaw is active for the Vikings against the Cincinnati Bengals. That should help that run game. Again, I love Jordan Mason today, and I'm going to continue to love him because I think they're going to run the absolute heck out of the football. Ryan Kelly is inactive at center for the Vikings, however, so that should matter a little bit. However, you can protect a center better than you can protect a left tackle. It does sound like Jimmy Horn Jr. is inactive for the third straight week, even though Xavier Legette's active. David Moore will get the start at wide receiver, and Bryson Tremaine will get some snaps at receiver, just as he did last week. All right, back to the questions. Rohit says, all right, we already answered that question, Rohit. Teddy Ackers' thoughts on A.J. Brown. Anyone you would or wouldn't start over him? I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, I just said kind of did the same thing with Devonta Smith, but A.J. Brown's kind of sitting in a spot right at the wide receiver 24 spot for us. We would play Emeka Egbuka. We'd play Keenan Allen, Ted McMillan over him. I would play A.J. Brown over a Cortland Sutton. I'd play him over a Higgins, play him over a Hollywood Brown, guys of this nature. You can go get the rankings up at RosterWatch.com, though, and you can see what that exactly looks like. And you can also get those questions answered. If you have a specific start sit, I'll answer it here, or you can ask it over on the website. But yeah, I think you play A.J. Brown over Metcalf, McLaurin, Sutton, Higgins, Hollywood Brown, Pickens, DJ Moore, something like this. That would be the direction I would go. Wait, did I miss that? All right. Big Meech, Kyler or Bo is the question here. Kyler or Bo at the quarterback. I think I answered this one as well on rosterwatch.com. I'm going to go Kyler Murray. They're literally back-to-back for us in the rankings. Rahit, I just don't know because I drafted Genty high and Ladd or Garrett because Ladd is against the Broncos while Garrett has Tyrod throwing to him. This is the game you play. Genty hasn't been getting the opportunity. They've been saying it's a load management problem. That's Chip Kelly's kind of way of telling you the story. It's a tough matchup today against Washington. It's a bottom 5 matchup in the RosterWatch matchup tool. Ladd's Ladd. Like Ladd is dealing with a Keenan Allen factor. He's dealing with a Quentin Johnston factor. He's dealing with running the football. It's a good football team. Ladd's going to get his when he gets it. It's just not going to be as consistent as many believed it would be with that second, third round draft capital. Garrett Wilson, I think Garrett Wilson's like I just said, no Josh Reynolds today. Like he's getting a 40% target share no matter what. Like that 40% target share, like they're not just going to not throw the football 10. Like they're not going to throw the football 10 times. They're going to throw the football at least 18 to 26 times, I would say, with the Jets today against Tampa Bay. And with a 40% target share on that, you're getting there with Garrett Wilson unless Tyrod Taylor is just completely inept. That's kind of my theory behind that. I get the problem with Genty and Ladd. I get it. Trust me. Ladd was pretty severely overdrafted given the situation at the end when we saw Keenan Allen come in there, and we kind of talked about it on the show a lot, which was we know Keenan Allen's going to get peppered and he's going to end up getting his 70 to 90 targets. And a lot of people didn't want to agree with it, but it was fact. And then we obviously see Quentin Johnston coming through and kind of being the big play guy. It's kind of neutering a little bit of that Ladd McConkey upside. Genty, I think you're fine. You just kind of hold the line and Genty's going to come through in the end. Gooner boy, Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold, or Bryce Young. Trevor Lawrence, Sam Darnold, or Bryce Young at the quarterback position. Sam Darnold's the lowest ranked quarterback for us in this conversation. Trevor Lawrence is a couple of spots ahead of, where's Bryce? Bryce is all the way down 28. Yeah, so Trevor Lawrence is a play here today at home against the Houston Texans. I think that's going to be a good game. I like Trevor Lawrence. You know what? Gives me a reason to bring this up because nobody's asking anything about Brian Thomas Jr. today. There have been some horrendous Brian Thomas Jr. trades that have happened across the dynasty landscape, across the seasonal landscape, and I don't get it. I don't get people pulling the plug on a Brian Thomas Jr. after what we saw from last year. Now, again, you're talking to Roster Watch Nation right now, who we talked about this coming out of the combine a year ago with this guy's got some growing to do as a route runner for sure, but he's got this one trick, and this one trick is being able to take the top off the defense. He's dealing with a wrist injury right now, and Travis Hunter's playing offense and defense, and Strange is getting his targets, and I get it. Brian Thomas is going to be just fine. Like that connection is going to be just fine. It happens, and when it hits, when it comes back together, and you're sitting there with a Brian Thomas Jr. that you traded away for a box of chocolates and a second-round pick, you're going to be ticked off because he's going to have a 37 burger on somebody else's team, or he's going to be on your bench because you're too salty to start him. You just got to hold the line with Brian Thomas Jr. and just know that he's in the situation to get those targets. So don't know why I went on that rant, Gunner Boy. You didn't deserve that, but Trevor Lawrence is the play. Ridiculous. Play the song. Play the song. Rohit Wilson for sure. Yep. Rick Dupree running backs. I don't know what the hell that is in reference to Rick Dupree. Maybe you have a question later. Don't see one. All right. Jan says Juju and Jennings out today. Yes. Alex just texted me that and said that Jennings was out. I missed the Jennings thing until I just got that text from our dearest friend Alex, which means Pearsall right back into that spot. 9 a.m., bro. 9 a.m. All right, we're going at 9 a.m. Eastern time next Sunday. 9 a.m. Eastern time next Sunday. It's going to be an early edition to the Start Sit Show next Sunday, September 28th. I'll have it scheduled up on the stream for YouTube so you guys will see it's at least ready. We'll go 9 a.m. Eastern time, and then your boy's going to go watch Quinion, the blanket, take on Mike Evans in Tampa. Jan Swicky, earlier the better. Earlier the better. There we go. Love it. Early. Everyone's in on early. All right. Keenan Allen, rushing yard. Says Keenan Allen or DeKaleb Metcalf. Keenan Allen or DeKaleb Metcalf. This is an interesting one. We have Keenan Allen ranked a couple of spots ahead of him. Metcalf's got the better matchup, but Keenan Allen on the surface doesn't get Pat Surtain treatment this weekend. That's going to be Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson's going to get Pat Surtain treatment, and from the targets perspective, 8.5 targets per game right now for Keenan Allen. And I'll tell you what, the dudes look like he's got a pep in his step. He looks like, I tweeted this out last weekend during that game. I know everyone says this, like, something's in the water in Chicago. Chicago must be toxic, but damn, it must be toxic because Keenan Allen looks like he's 6 years younger right now, running around, catching footballs from Justin Herbert, or just the ineptitude at quarterback kind of hurts that stuff in Chicago. But Keenan Allen over Metcalf today in full PPR. Ride with that rushing yard. Big Meech, Bill or Travion Henderson. Again, I tell you this, but I'd probably get in trouble for doing it. I put Bill as a top 10 running back today after he shows up in a Sean Taylor vintage white jersey. That was sick. But I got to go with Travion Henderson. I'm going Travion Henderson by a little bit. He's got a good matchup. Alex has been pumping it. Alex has been pumping the targets, pumping the receptions the last couple of weeks for Travion. It hasn't quite gotten us there over the hump to really push us through. But I'm going to ride with Travion today. It's a much better matchup against Pittsburgh than it is for Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and I just simply can't trust Dan Quinn quite yet. We can see that Bill can play ball. We can see that Bill probably should get 18 touches. But Dan Quinn, for some reason, doesn't want to do that yet, and he was forcing the ball to Eckler, and now Rodriguez is probably going to be active, which is going to be annoying. And Jeremy McNichols, I just don't trust this Bill thing quite yet. I got to see it to believe it, and we should see it today, but I just don't trust him. Eric says, have you heard that there was a soft benching last week for Henderson after he missed a few blocks, getting May wallop? Thoughts? When will Henderson get rolling? Well, we just kind of talked about Henderson right there. So the one thing I do know is that Henderson is the best pass blocking running back in this draft class and one of the best pass blocking running backs in the league. So if you missed a couple of blocks and that's why he got benched, I don't think that's going to be a long-term problem for Travion Henderson. That's just not who that guy is. That guy's made of the best sauce. That guy's made of the Austin Eckler sauce from a grind perspective, from a mentality perspective, from a technique perspective. Like, he's not going to just be like, well, you bench me now, I'm going to go pout in the corner and get myself kicked off the team. Like, that's just not that's not the angle that you're going to get from Travion. So I'm not going to be overly worried about that. But it's a great thought though, Eric. Let's see here. Ridiculous is De'Ami Brown or Kevontae Turpin. Gosh, this is the trash man question of the day, brought to you by Ridiculous and RosterWatch.com. De'Ami Brown. I don't even want to type it in. De'Ami Brown, and the other one was Kevontae Turpin. I'm going to go De'Ami Brown over Kevontae Turpin today. De'Ami Brown's been fine. Hasn't been the best, but he's getting targeted 5.5 times per game the last 2 weeks. Kevontae Turpin, you get the aspect of, I guess if your league's got like special teams points for kick return, punt return yardage, and you get bonuses and stuff, Turpin could be angled here above a De'Ami Brown, but I'm just going to go De'Ami Brown in this game against Houston because, again, you got Derek Stingley. They got a good back end, but Stingley's going to be predominantly working on Brian Thomas, so that could open up De'Ami for a big play. Mike E says Henderson or Kirk in flex. Let's check out Trash Man's flex rankings, his top 200. You can get over at rosterwatch.com in the pro and premium section. Henderson is right there inside the top 90. And Kirk is coming off. It's going to be his debut game of the year against his former team in Jacksonville. We do got Kirk ranked a little bit lower. I feel like this is a spot where Kirk's either going to go donut or he's going to go like 19 points. And to be honest with you, I feel like he might be forcing it back a little bit early because this injury kind of came out. It came out of nowhere, it felt like, and then all of a sudden it's just been lingering the last couple of weeks through camp and then through the start of the season. This is a big game for him. He circled it. Obviously, Jacksonville didn't want him anymore. They paid him. They cut him. They let him walk. And now he's in Houston. Like, I think it's a good game for Kirk, but I'm going to go with Henderson here and just play it safe. Frozen State Productions, Northeast Minneapolis here. Shout out, Minnesota. Appreciate you. With Daniels out, are you going Penix or Bryce Young? Both these guys are near the bottom of the rankings this week, but Penix is a spot ahead. I do think Penix is a better chance of getting you there. Frozen State, appreciate you. Yes, applied literature. He has been ruled out for the 49ers. I didn't see that right away. I guess I missed it. And then Alex texted me and said that Juwan Jennings is out. So let me make sure. Let me double check. Adam Schefter says listed as questionable for today's game against the Cardinals due to shoulder and ankle, will not play, will be out. All right, so that literally happened during the show. That was 27 minutes ago. So at 11:33, right after the inactives came out. So I missed that during the inactives. Was an inactive I didn't see. All right, there's that. Yeah, so no Jennings today. So, all right here. Jay Fleets, Dak or May, pick 2. Dak or May, pick 2. Wait. Oh, pick 2, Ted, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson. Dak or May, we're going to go ahead and go with Dak. Dak's got the juicy matchup today against the Chicago Bears. Both are good plays, but I'm going to go with Dak. And then pick 2 at wide receiver. He says Ted, AJ Brown, or Garrett Wilson. I'm for sure am in on Ted, and then I think it's Garrett Wilson. Yeah, Garrett Wilson. So we're going to go Garrett Wilson and Ted, both above A.J. Brown today in PPR, Jay Fleets. Wheels up for Pearsall. Yeah, and that's the math. That's the math. So everything I said in the first 25 minutes before the inactives came out about Jennings being ahead of Pearsall because Mac Jones targets is obviously no longer because Jennings was inactive. There you go. So there's that. Let's smash. Thanks, brother. Bob Watson, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you jumping in the chat today. Let's get a little rapid fire as we close in on the 12 p.m. hour here. Ron Cloth says Diggs or A-Manor. I love me some A-Manor, man. I've been a big A-Manor fan all through training camp when we saw him continue to grow and take over that role from DK and Van Jefferson and Xavier Restrepo getting cut out and just being the number 2 option in that offense at the wide receiver position. But today we got Diggs 2 spots ahead of Alec A-Manor. Boom, right there. Stephon Diggs, a couple spots ahead. I mean, that guy, he's on what wouldn't be like paternity. He'd be like newfound fatherness, right? I think he's got I believe he's got 2 baby mamas now in the last week that have been announced that he's expecting 2 different children. So newfound daddiness from Stephon Diggs narrative right here. Diggs just inside the top 50 at the wide receiver position. We'll go Diggs over A-Manor. Jennings is out and they said pitch count for Ibuka. Okay, I've been live streaming, like I said, for the last hour. If I missed the Jennings thing, obviously I just said that. Ibuka, like I said before, if they say there's a pitch count, then I'll be more weary. But like I said, I haven't seen that they said there's a pitch count. So if you're saying it happened, I can look it up right now. But like I said, I've been answering questions, not playing on Twitter or watching Jay Glazer talk on the television this morning. Let me look here. Latest on Ibuka pitch count. I just see good to go. No pitch count, no limitations per rap sheet. No pitch count, no limitations per rap sheet, according to Daniel Morales of the Pewter Report. So I'm not there on the pitch count. EJ, where did you see that there was a pitch count? Because they're reporting from the Pewter Report and rap sheet, there's no limitations today, and he's good to go. If you have something, let me know, because that'd be appreciated. Mike E, half PBR, 1 Renfro, Henderson, or Kirk. That's disgusting. But we talked about it. Leggett is out. Renfro is into the top 150. Henderson is definitely ahead of him. I think Kirk's probably going to be below. So Henderson's going to be the play. That's on Trashman's flex rankings. He's not a big fan of Hunter Renfrow today. Honestly, I kind of want to play Hunter Renfrow over all these guys. I mean, especially with Leggett being out. I'm gonna go Hunter Renfrow here. I'm gonna go Renfrow against Atlanta in the slot. Let's go Renfrow. He's gonna come down with 6, 7, 8 targets in this game. I think he's averaging, where's the number, at 7.5 targets per game so far this year. So I'm gonna go with give us a little Hunter Renfrow. Kenny Imbrogno. Start Pittman or Cup in the flex. Big Cup guy. I tweeted it 2 weeks ago after that week 1 game. Cup is not dust. He's not dust. I said, wait a week. I guarantee that Saints game, he's going to give you something. He gave you something last week. I told you he wasn't dust. Darnold was just getting hammered against the Niners in week 1. Cup showed up last week. Cup's going to show up again this week. I love me some Cooper Kupp this week in fantasy football. So we'll go Kupp over Pittman. Even though Pittman's got a slightly better matchup overall, I have Kupp as a top 20 play, which nobody else does. Even the model hates Kupp. So the model can't kiss my butt because I like Cooper Kupp this week. I don't think he's dusty. The Golden Sun rises again in week 3. Miles Young, should I start Adunze or JSN? Wow, this is an awesome question. It's an awesome world that we live in when you have to ask the Adunze versus JSN question. Both these guys, top 12 options this week in fantasy. The model absolutely loves Rome Adunze for obvious reasons because Rome has been absolutely maniacal. He's the wide receiver 4 in fantasy points per game behind Puka, Neighbors, and Amon-Ra, averaging 23.75 points per game. But we do have JSN ranked a mere, looks like 5 spots ahead of him, 6 spots ahead of him. So we're going to go JSN here by a touch. If you can play both, though, Miles, I would play both. I love them both. Both are in great matchups today, and Adunze should feast against Dallas. Ethan says, need help. Who to start, Dobbins or McConkey? McConkey. Titan style, need 1 running back, 2 flex. Connor, Ramondre, Etienne, Bowers. Pickens. Keep seeing I should bench Connor. I don't know why you keep saying you should bench Connor, other than the fact that that backfield is more split than it's ever been before, ever. Benson's getting more opportunities this year than he's ever gotten before in this offense behind Connor all year last year. I don't know why you keep saying you should bench him. I'm not immediately jumping to the bench side of things. I'm playing Bowers for sure. So you need 1 running back, 2 flex. So we'll put Bowers in one of the flexes, which is interesting. You must be in a flex league, not tight end league. And then at the running back position, Ramondre is going to be ranked a little bit higher, probably than consensus over here. Ramondre, Etienne, and Connor. Yeah, we are on team Etienne there. So it's Etienne, Connor, and Bowers. Etienne, Connor, and Bowers. Those would be the 3 guys there, tight style. Teddy Ockery, yep, we know that now. Need a flyer to fill in for Jennings. Benson or Hunter? Hunter, of course, playing against the Houston Texans. So here's my theory on Travis Hunter for the first 2 weeks that we're getting through is that you saw in week 1 the utilization factor for Jacksonville and Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter playing against the Carolina Panthers. They have one big weapon, and that one big weapon is Tedero McMillan. He doesn't play much on defense. Week 2, you get the Bengals. You got T. Higgins. You got Jamar Chase. You're going to play a little bit more defense, right? 40 more snaps on defense than he did in week 1. Travis Hunter did. Now week 3, you got Houston Texans. What do they got? One big dog and Nico Collins. Yeah, they got some other guys and Hutchinson and Higgins and Kirk's now healthy and yada, yada, yada. But those are much more defendable pieces with what you have on defense rather than making a big deal to put Hunter on that side of the ball. Also, with the little bit of, slow start for Brian Thomas, it only benefits to have another weapon on offense. So I think Hunter's going to play more offense today than not. I would go Hunter over Benson. Pearsall over Ridley. We're going Pearsall. Also, is it crazy to drop Travis Hunter for Wicks? So we're dropping Travis Hunter for Wicks, Butte, or Downs. Yeah, I think that's a little crazy. I'm not Team Wicks like this, man. I am much more Team Golden and Team Dobbs than I am Wicks at the current stage of this Jaden Reed situation. Now, doesn't mean Wicks can't go 4 for 120 and 2. We've seen it before. Wicks has the abilities to do this. But I'm more wait and see mode as far as that goes. I wouldn't drop a Travis Hunter. I think the matchups you look down the line for, Houston's got one big guy. San Fran should have Pearsall and Jennings. I'm sure he plays a little more defense there. Kansas City, he probably plays a little more defense. Seattle, Rams. It's going to be matchup based with Travis Hunter. That's just the name of the game and how you're going to play it and the situation that's being dealt to you. Butte looks like the guy in New England, but Diggs should be coming along slowly. We're going to get more and more Henderson as the season goes by. Downs, I mean, there's an opportunity there, but there's this guy named Tyler Warren in the way, and also there's other weaponry around him. I'm not the most bullish on any of the four guys you have listed here: Hunter, Wicks, Butte, or Downs. But if I do think that there's most upside to one of them, it's probably Wicks if he takes stranglehold on a role in that Green Bay offense. I'm just not ready to do that today, Matt. I would play Hunter today, though. Ugly one, Hunt or Harvey. That's a putrid one, brother. I'm generally staying away completely from the Kansas City backfield with Pacheco and Hunt. I've been asked the Pacheco question multiple times this week, and I'm like, I'm not playing Pacheco until they force me to play Pacheco, aka give him 70%, or he breaks a big run, or he looks good, or this offensive line looks competent from a blocking perspective, and they just haven't. And Harvey's got the bottom matchup this week, number 2 toughest matchup on the RosterWatch matchup tool. Hunt has the number 1 matchup on the matchup tool. Hunt's ranked a couple of spots ahead of him for us consensus. So that means we're playing Hunt, even though I want to play Harvey. Bert says Emeka Egbuka, Pacheco, or Judkins in half. I'm playing Emeka Egbuka. Disco Stu says revised. Need to fill my 2 flex spots. Henderson, Devonta, Olave, Tootin, Downs, Fannin. Cheers. 2 flex spots. Henderson, Devonta Smith, Olave, Tootin, Downs, Fannin. All right, so Fannin is right there as a top 12 tight end this week. Let me check Trash Man's rankings across positionally here for just 1 second. So he has, okay. Back-to-back. Devonta and Olave are back-to-back. Tootin's probably not going to get much juice this week. Downs. I like Fannin. He doesn't like Fannin as much as I do. I would go Olave and Fannin. Trashman would go Olave and Devonta. I'll go Olave and Fannin. Best of luck, Disco Stu. Dylan Flick here says, let's have a day. Full BBR, 2 questions. Need 1 tight end, 1 flex. Juwan, Kraft, Judkins, Abuka. I don't know what the hell SNAP snap count. I don't. So the snap count thing, like the Twitter, everything on Twitter is saying he's fine from a snap perspective. I haven't listened to the TV this morning. I'm not actively scrolling through, Rap Sheet and Glazer's posts. But what I am telling you right now is Daniel Morales said that. So now Schefter said that there's a snap count. So it's dueling reports. Schefter says his snaps will be monitored and potentially limited based on how he feels during the game. Okay, well, that's common sense. That's literally every player in the history of the game. You're going to be potentially limited based on how you feel during the game. Yeah, if you feel like hell, you're going to get pulled out. Daniel Morales, I'm going to trust his reporting from the Pewter Report. We like the Pewter Report. We trust the Pewter Report. And they're saying per rap sheet, there's no limitations. So I'm riding with the no limitations side of things. Again, my rule is if they play, we play. If he's active and he plays, we play. That's just the rules, especially wide receiver. Like these guys aren't taking on 25, 20 up to 25 touches a game like a running back where you can get dinged up on carry number 3 and it can completely nuke you. You're looking at a wide receiver that is going to be running routes and can be out there and can be utilized in a fashion that he could run 14 routes in this game. And on those 14 routes, he could be targeted on 6 of them because they're strategically utilized. And I trust that. I trust Tampa Bay. I trust Emeka Egbuka. They need him, and I trust Emeka Egbuka. So in this situation, with a banged up Kraft, Juwan Johnson, Judkins, and Egbuka, my tight end is going to be Jennings, and my flex is going to be Egbuka. There is the end. And then the defense, Bengals against the Vikings, Washington against the Raiders, and the Chargers against the Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with the Commanders against the Raiders this week. Dylan Flink, great question. Grant Whitcraft, 2 PPR with point for rushing first downs, Dobbins or Judkins. I think these guys are going to be really close. I think they're 2 spots apart, 3 spots apart, 3 spots apart. Dobbins ahead of Judkins, both bottom 2 matchups on the matchup tool. We're going to go Dobbins here. I forgot to click on that one. Wuno, JSN in the flu game or I Manor? I know Colts secondary is pretty banged up for Io Manor. Yeah, but it's JSN. He plays, we play. It's JSN. Aiden, don't get cute. Wuno. Sit one, Jefferson, Nico, and oh my gosh. What a roster, brother. What a sit. Is this an 8-teamer? Sit one, Jefferson, Nico, Njigba, and Rome. All right. You want to go through the top 10 rankings this week? Yeah. So Jefferson's into the top 10, Njigba's into the top 10, Rome is into the top 12, and Nico is inside the top 10. So I guess that would tell you you're going to not play Rome, even though Rome's in the juiciest matchup. Jefferson's got to deal with a Wentz. Nico's got to deal with, I guess, a Travis Hunter / Tyson Campbell. And Jigba's got the flu game. I mean, man, I really want to play Rome this week. I'm going to make a live adjustment here and see what it does. So personal rankings, I'm going to make a live adjustment. And I have Jefferson personally at 11 and Rome at 12. I have Njigba here, Nico right below those guys. I'm going to put Nico right behind Rome. I'm moving Nico right behind Rome. Live adjustment on air. No, you don't get this anywhere else. Roster Watch Nation right here. Nico below Rome. So Nico's going to be the bench spot today. I'm playing Rome. I'm playing Rome against the Cowboys. I'm doing it. I don't care. I love it. I want it. I'm playing it. We're winning with it. We're riding with it. And Aiden, I think your roster is going to kill with it. So Jefferson and Njigba and Rome today. Chill Blinton. If it was Chill Bilton, I wouldn't even have to ask the question. But Bill Krosky Merritt or Travion Henderson. I think we answered this question earlier in a different format, but Bill is 2 spots ahead of Travion. In the rankings, the matchup severely favors Travion Henderson. There's worry about the role and utilization for both of these guys. Can Travion break through, get some pass catches, get some more carries in this backfield that Ramondre's looked actually pretty good in against porous defenses? Pittsburgh's down a couple of guys on the defensive side of the football, cornerback, safety, and Deshaun Elliott, and then edge rusher Alex Highsmith. The problem with Krosky Merritt is that we don't know if we can trust Dan Quinn. Can we ever trust Dan Quinn? I mean, he's playing Austin Eckler over Bill, and Austin Eckler doesn't look great. And now we're going to see what the Rodriguez McNichols situation is. So I lean towards Travion Henderson, but again, these guys are literally back to back. This has been the most asked question on the day so far on both the website and on YouTube. All right, Sutton or Ridley, Cortland Sutton or Calvin Ridley. I'm going to go Ridley here, elevated mind. Doug Summer says Hampton, Debo, or McMillan in flex. Hampton, Debo, or McMillan in flex. I'm gonna check Trashman. Let's see what Trashman's got for Hampton this week. Hampton's got at 57, and then let's see where Debo's at. All right, and McMillan. Oh, look at that, back to back. Debo and McMillan are back to back. He's got Debo ahead of McMillan. I like Tet. I like Tet over Debo, but he likes Debo over Tet. So I'm going Tet. Doug, you make the pick between who you like better. Trashman takes Debo. I take Tet. Full PPR, you already answered that, maybe? I don't know what happened to activate chat. Isn't the chat activated? It says, maybe I'm missing some chats. I don't know. Let me pull up YouTube quick because I just got a notification that says, to activate chat, please enable channels. Pretty sure we've been active, so I'm not sure if I'm missing something. Let me pull it up quick and make sure I'm getting all. All right. Looks like there's actually a couple questions in the chat that have not come through on my end. So that's amazing. We're having some problems with the chat the last couple weekends. That's not great. Wow. There's actually a ton on here that I don't think I've seen. All right. So where's Aiden's question at there? So Bill, where are we at? Mariota, Mac Jones. All right. So I think we're gonna live off right here. So Ant Noose says Garrett Wilson, Debo, Myers, Garrett Wilson and Debo. And then Israel says Abuka and Marv Harrison Jr. I'm going Marv in that situation against the Niners. A couple of questions on the YouTube side of things that I can see on YouTube, but I can't see on Restream for whatever reason. We had this problem last weekend, so I'm going to just read straight off of YouTube, and then we'll just go from there. Mariota or Mac Jones? We're going Mariota. Thanks for the Matt Perota says, thanks for the answer on Hunter and Benson. No problem. Appreciate you, brother. Franz says, would you trade Benson or should be a late 2026 first? Single QB start 8, 1 PPR, old friends home dynasty league. Would I trade Benson for a late 2026 first? I think I'd probably do it. I just don't know how long James Conner hangs on. He might be there another year. And I think that kind of hurts us a little bit with the Benson thing. Benson's taken over. Benson looks better. Benson doesn't look like he has the it factor. He doesn't look quite as explosive as Ken Walker. So I would do it. I would take that first round pick. I love a good asset if you can get it. Who I start? Browning, Russ, or Mac Jones? Russ is the play there. Ice Cold Jones asks that question. Matt Perota says, ugly one to bench, Smith, Ridley, or Franklin. Franklin getting put into this conversation. That's a fun one. That's the Byron Lambert question of the day. Is Franklin ahead of Calvin Ridley and what was the other guy? Devonta Smith. Definitely not ahead of Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is going to be I'm wrong. Holy cow. All right, so Ridley's 41, Franklin's 43, and Smith is 46. So there you go. Franklin's working his way up there. Ridley's just 2 spots ahead. Great question on the day there from Matt Perota. The Big Lost moved Garrett Wilson to wide receiver 2 and put JSN in flex just in case if he doesn't go Monty or Pearsall. If JSN doesn't go. I think JSN's going to go. But if not, then I would go Pearsall. Half PBR start 1 from Greg Jones. Greg Jones says Marv, T, or Egbuka. I'm going Marv. Havoc's Gaming needs some insight on my flex wide receiver to start. Should I start out Higgins, Kelsey, Adams, McMillan? Come on, brother. Higgins, Kelsey, Adams, McMillan, Evans, Wandell, and Zach Ertz. Flex and wide receiver. Well, I'm going McMillan here and Evans. McMillan and Evans are my 2 highest ranked players. Havoc's Gaming. Aiden, yes, that was 8-team league with the Nico Njigba Rome thing. Most definitely. That's kind of what I expected. Darius Ralston says, start 2, Garrett Wilson, Marv, and Cup. Start 2, Garrett Wilson and I have Cup. The team has Marv. Cody has Cup. The matchup tells you Marv is a middling matchup. Cup is a middling matchup. In DFS, the cheaper player is Cooper Kupp. From a targets perspective, we're looking at Marv at 5.5 and Kupp at 6 targets per game. Fantasy points per game, 11.4 to Marv, 9.75 to Kupp. I love Kupp this weekend. The team loves Marv. I love Kupp. Do you love Kupp? I love Kupp. Darius Ralston, Wilson, and Kupp. Full PPR. Ant Nunes, pick 2, Garrett Wilson, Debo Myers. Already answered that one. I think that was Wilson and Debo. Garrison, what's up, dog? What's up, homie? Israel Urea says Goddard or Kraft. I'm going Kraft, even though the knee injury, I'm not worried about it that much to play Goddard. Shout out South Dakota State for that question. Emeka Egbuka or Marv. I'm going Marv from Israel. Israel also says once more, sorry, Goddard or Kraft. I got it in, brother. I got you, brother. We're going Kraft. I'm not as worried as much. Adam Schefter reported Buccaneers wide receiver Emeka Egbuka is expected to play today versus the Jets despite hitting hip and groin injuries. Expected to have snaps monitored at 10:45 a.m. Skinny Dog, I'm aware. I read that. What I'm telling you is that the Pewter Report and Ian Rappaport reported within the last hour. So whilst I've been streaming and answering questions, that no pitch count, no limitations per rap sheet. That's from the Pewter Report. So, is this going to be a rap sheet versus Schefter thing? It looks like it. Am I going to generally lean on the Schefter side of things? Generally. Have both of these guys given me the cold shoulder in real life? Sure. Do I like Emeka Egbuka more than the majority of the questions that have been asked so far? Yes. But it's all situational. I'll take Marv over Egbuka. I won't take a couple of these other wide receivers, though, over Egbuka. I trust Egbuka and his mentality more than I trust a situation like, I don't know, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Romeo Doubs, Devonta Smith. Like, I'm playing Emeka Egbuka over those guys. I trust Emeka Egbuka. Franz, appreciate you, my dog. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in for a full hour of the Start Sit Show here on the Roster Watch YouTube channel. Again, we'll be live every Sunday. Next Sunday, September 28th, will be a little bit earlier. We're going to be going live at 9 a.m. Eastern time, so I can get out to watch a little Quinion Mitchell versus Mike Evans action. 9 a.m. Eastern time next Sunday. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. And we'll see you over on rosterwatch.com where you can get any more questions answered up until game time in about 45 minutes. See ya.
This is Carson Wentz, and you're listening to Roster Watch.